Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Stephen R. Covey.
You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast.
Before I jump into today's episode, I need my business owners to listen up. If you're serious about building a business and a life you love, you need to sign up for the Level Up Living newsletter brought to you by the Become Your Own Boss podcast. Each month, you'll get fresh insights on entrepreneurship, mindset, and lifestyle upgrades. Not just a recap of the podcast, but exclusive content to help you grow and live life by your design. You can sign up at monicaallen.com. Simply click on the bright purple button at the top right corner of the website. I was having a conversation with my daughter Imana the other day, and you all know how much I love these moments with her because they often lead to deep thoughts or ideas that I end up carrying into my work or into this podcast. She was telling me about something that honestly made me pause. She was actually a little bit frustrated. She said that she likes to ask her friends how their day is going or how their break was. They just recently got off spring break. And she gets two types of responses. Some will go into full detail. They'll tell her about what they did and what made them happy or stressed, depending on what the question is. And it becomes this really engaging conversation. But then she mentioned there's some that just say good or fine and leave it at that. No follow-up question, no curiosity returned. This discussion with Imana made me think, are we losing the art of conversation? I think we are, and it's showing up not only in our personal relationships, but it has the potential to even show up in our businesses too. Today, I want to spend a few moments talking about this, about how we can be more intentional, more thoughtful, and more present when we speak to each other. Whether we're trying to connect with a client, manage a team, or simply bond with our kids, conversation is a superpower. But like any superpower, it has to be practiced. We live in a world where we're constantly multitasking. We're checking our phones, replying to emails, thinking about dinner, all while someone is speaking to us. We're often distracted, and oftentimes we're distracted because of those lovely phones that have potential to allow us to get so much done, but can also pull us away from the things that matter most. But the truth is, great conversation starts with being present. When someone is talking to you, really listen. And by the way, I'm not pointing any fingers here. This conversation is for me as well. I want to just say that when someone is talking to us, we have to really listen, tune in, make eye contact, nod, engage, let them know their words are being received and not just heard. Let them know that we aren't just waiting to reply to them, but we're actually taking in what they're saying. And of course, we can give a very well thought out reply, but we want to make sure that they know that we heard them. And here's the big one: be curious. Curiosity is the engine of great conversation. Instead of asking out of politeness, ask because you genuinely want to know the answer. Ask because you care. When a customer calls in to ask a question or they come into the store, I will often ask them how they're doing or how their day is going. I genuinely care about their answer. However, in some cases, that for some people, asking someone how they're doing is just a common part of hello at the beginning of a conversation. But they don't really care about the answer because they go on to tell you what they need or why they're calling. That's what I get sometimes, especially on the phone. People will call me and they'll say, "Hey, how are you? I'm calling because I need to do this or I need to find out this." And they don't even give me time to answer. I often notice this. It actually bothers me. But anyway, I think you'll probably notice it now too that I've mentioned it if you haven't noticed it already. But I do my best not to do that. I do my best when I ask that question, I genuinely want to know someone's answer. If I don't really want to know, I won't ask the question. I do my best to be curious about my customers beyond just how we can serve them. And we've taught our team members to do the same, especially if they're customer facing. I like to know what they're shopping for. Is it a special occasion? How did they decide on the design that they want on the back of their jacket? I will usually come up with some questions around what they're doing because I want to know what it's all about. If somebody comes in there and I know they're getting a business logo, I will always ask them about their business. If they're the business owner or what does the business do? It just leads to me, one, learning more about the client and forming a deeper relationship with them. I do my best to give them my undivided attention and to truly be present. I have also found that if you want better conversations, you need to ask better questions. And this is what I actually shared with my daughter is instead of saying, how are you or how was your break? Asking, what's been the highlight of your week? What was the highlight of your break? Or what's something you're looking forward to this month? What's something that you're looking forward to for summer break? But these are open ended questions. They spark thought, they open the door to real connection and real conversation. And yes, you can absolutely use this in business. When you're checking in with your team, don't just ask, how's it going? Ask something like, what's something you're proud of from this week? Or what challenge did you run into that I can help you with? This will show your team that you care about what they're dealing with, what's going on in their workload. And I think it's very important to remember that conversation is a two-way street. And this point really came to me because as I'm talking to Imana, and not only does some people stop and just say good or fine, but then they don't reciprocate the question. They don't ask back, well, how are you? How was your day? How was your break? But good conversation goes both ways. It's not a performance and it's not an interview. But if someone asks, how was your weekend? And you answer that, you then should ask them that back. How was your weekend? I like to think of conversations more like ping pong or tennis. It's a back and forth. And while this sounds so basic and like common sense, it's one of the most overlooked elements in conversation. That little moment of turning the question around says, I see you. I care about you. I want to know about your life too. For example, like most parents, probably, I love chatting about my children. I love talking about them. So if someone asks me about them, I often gush with pride and tell them some of the most recent highlights. But I do my best to be very cognizant of how much I'm talking and then turn it around to ask them about their kids or their family, what's going on with them. I don't want the spotlight to just be on me. And I think it's important that we teach our kids to do the same and to model this in our businesses as well. We've all heard the phrase, less is more. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can say is nothing, especially depending on the circumstances. But just be there, listen, let someone finish their thought. I often find this to be the case with my teenager and even my 10-year-old. Sometimes it just helps to listen and ask those open ended questions down the road once they've kind of gotten out their thoughts. And when you do this, it's sometimes difficult, especially as a parent, to not rush in to try to fix it or offer advice. But I do like this question or this statement. Tell me more about that. I actually covered a boss up book that really spoke to that, really spoke to the tell me more about that. I didn't pull that up, so I don't recall the book at the moment, but I'll post it on Instagram, and that way you can see which book I'm talking about. But tell me more about that can lead to a huge conversation. We can truly build trust in the quiet moments, in the pauses, in the space we give people to open up. And I'm probably most of us in this business world, or as we run our businesses, we've learned that when you're interviewing people, asking those open-ended questions and just letting it sit there and letting people answer the interview question can be very, very insightful for you as an employer. The quiet moments are good. And another portion around business and, just the curiosity and conversation. If you're in sales, you know that conversation is everything. You can't sell without truly understanding someone's needs. And that comes through intentional questions and active listening. In many cases, even making some notes so you can recall them later. And this is why CRM software has done so well over the years, Salesforce, and now there's so many others. But you can make notes and keep important information about every prospect and every client, things that you may not truly remember, but putting them in the notes means you were at least listening and you can pull those back up later. You can know when a birthday is coming or when a kid's birthday even is coming. Those are the types of things that show that you care about your client or customer and that you remember those things or at least took the energy and time to put a note in the system so you'll remember them in the future. And as a leader, if your team doesn't feel heard, they won't bring their best ideas or solutions to the table. They may not even stay with you very long if they don't feel heard. So it's important to make sure that your team, as you're leading your team, that you are really conversing with them. And I love to talk about networking. When you're networking, the people who make the biggest impressions aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who ask thoughtful questions and make others feel seen. And honestly, that's effective networking because you can learn so much more about how you can help someone else. And when you help someone else, they often feel like that whole law of reciprocity. They then want to help you as well. Keeping those things in mind. I'm giving us all a challenge this week, just for all of us. Let's have one conversation where we're fully present. No phone or remote in our hand. Ask an open ended question. Don't interrupt. Be curious and check your ratio of talking to listening. Now, whether it's your child, your barista, your client, or your colleague, connect. Connect. I love that word because conversation is the bridge between people. And I know this is very metaphorical, but strong bridges can build strong lives and strong businesses because you have those connections with multiple people. And I really want us to all challenge ourselves to really do this at home because I think sometimes we take that part for granted. We know that clients, customers help pay the bills. So we're listening to them. We're intent on getting that business. We're intent on making sure that our clients and customers are happy. But I challenge us to do this at home, to be fully present, to put down the phone an hour or two before you normally do and have those conversations with your kiddos or with your spouse or with your partner or whoever, your parents even, but having those conversations and asking questions and being curious about what's going on with them in their lives. I will say I've determined somewhat of a hack to being completely present with my kiddos. I drive them to school every day for the most part. And some days I pick them up. Ethan and I kind of alternate. And in the car, I can't be on my phone. And they're not typically on their phones or their devices. So I get to hear all about their day and I get much of the tea spilt or spilled from their day. And as a matter of fact, the conversation that I had with Imana that led to this podcast episode was had in the car after I picked her up from school one day. I've kind of found a hack for that. And though I don't like Atlanta traffic, it's no fun. I do enjoy the time that I have with them in a bubble where we can really connect and talk, and I can ask the questions and they can ask questions, and we can really talk through some of the things that they may be dealing with at school or with a friend. And that to me is it's good for as a parent. And Ethan and I both get to do that with them. So I do think them getting both of our perspectives on things and us being able to listen to them and connect with them is so, so important. And it's time that as they grow older, we can't get back. I will have one with a driver's license in a year or so. And while that is in itself scary in Atlanta traffic, but it also makes me really value the time that I currently have them in the car with me, and I can talk to them about their day. Okay, I've rambled on about that, but that's our challenge for this week. Put down the phone, be present, be curious, talk to our family, talk to our friends, our parents, and really try to dig deeper than we normally do. Thank you for listening today. I'm grateful for you. Oh, before I go, I just want to share that I am celebrating a lot of blessings this upcoming week. As I believe I mentioned last week, Zeus's Closet is celebrating our Sweet 16 today. We opened April 18th, 2009, and I tell you, I have learned a lot. This is the space where the idea for the podcast was born. Chatting with a variety of people who were either in business already or desiring to start a business, I found that there was a lot of knowledge missing and a lot of knowledge that I had gained along the way. And knowledge, truly knowledge that would be wrong for me not to share and save a few people just from some of the pain and lessons that I've undergone. In addition to celebrating Zeus's Closet, or ZC as we call it sometimes, this podcast will celebrate 5 years next week. Starting on April 22nd, 2020, during the height of COVID, the Become Your Own Boss podcast was born. Technically, it started out as the Stitched for Success podcast because it was a play or meant to be a play on the business that we're in. But truly, that didn't resonate with me. Over time, I found that Become Your Own Boss was really more me. It felt good. I felt like it's something I could talk about week after week, and not just about being the boss of your business, though that is important and that is the main thing we talk about here. It's also about being the boss of your whole life and being able to calibrate those things that are important to you for you to have a whole full boss up life. I say all that to say that I pray that this podcast has been helpful to you along your entrepreneurial journey, whether you've been in it for a while or you're just getting started or you're just thinking about it and you're listening. I do think it's important if you want to start a business, you just start planting those seeds by listening to podcasts like this and reading magazines and reading books. I am excited to continue to bring you more content that will help you grow and scale your business. And if there's any topics you would like me to cover, please don't hesitate to email me. I'm often talking about things that resonate in my business, in my life, or things that I've gone through in the past, and I want to share those things. But if there's a topic that you're thinking, oh, I wish she'd talk about this, email me. Please email me. My email is really simple. It's monica@monicaallen.com. You'll have two A's right beside each other. Also, if this podcast has been helpful to you in any way, please take a few minutes, just a moment, to go over to Apple or Spotify and leave a review. It really helps the show continue to grow. And as it grows, it can help other people. So we can build these wonderful, sustainable businesses. Remember, as we've talked about conversation, connection, curiosity. I love curiosity. Curiosity isn't just kind, it's connective. Be genuinely curious, and you'll build deeper relationships in both life and business. And remember, now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.